Welcome back to our F1 2020 Ferrari Return to Glory career mode. Today we start the second round of the season then, with the British Grand Prix coming up then, as you can see in 9 days time on the calendar here. We've got a big chassis upgrade on the way as well, so we'll be hoping to get that through with no issues. And as I said, we are now going to start work on the durability, having committed to not upgrading the powertrain now for the whole of the first season. And as you can see, we're starting to lose a bit of ground, so the second half of the season could be very tough for us on some of the tracks coming up, but at least we'll be able to now, make our engines a bit more durable, so starting to set ourselves up nicely for season 2 at least. Now, I wanted to try and get this on in time for this race, so I took a risk here with the upgrade, tried to rush it through. We'll see if that pays off or not, as we're now going to advance time then, and we did indeed get the chassis upgrade on that we wanted, and that was just the moment of truth then, and we did not get it, so it means that it'll be on for Belgium, as it would have been if we'd done standard, but we've actually wasted 500 points there unfortunately trying to get that on for Silverstone, so we took a bit of a risk there. It hasn't paid off for us unfortunately, but we'll have that on then after the summer break then, which is up after this one, after this race. And there you can see it's still very close then between us, Racing Point and Red Bull at the moment. Williams continuing to close up at the bottom there, and it's all really tightening because Mercedes haven't done a whole lot yet this season. But yeah, we'll have to see then how it plays out once our engine drops, as we now head then into the British Grand Prix.
Who would you say is your biggest rival at the moment? Do you think this team are performing as well as they could do? Appreciate your time.
Here's how things are looking on the power unit side, and we are starting to struggle quite a bit here with durability. We're going to have to take our final turbocharger then, our third one already, so it's looking like we're definitely going to be taking some penalties on that at some point. Our engine, we're still on our second one, but that's getting quite worn as well, as we are going to start in a little bit more points now then in practice sessions, because we are now upgrading 3 of our 4 sort of departments, I guess, in terms of upgrades, as we head now then into qualifying, and we'll see just what we are capable of then today. We obviously want to be in the top 10 because we're still sort of in a battle, it looks like, for the second best at the moment then with Racing Point and Red Bull. But as we've seen, that doesn't always tend to be the case. But yeah, this lap time then that we did in Q1, I wasn't too happy with that then. Slower than Gasly there in the AlphaTauri, and we ended up 9th in the end. And Leclerc surprisingly was even slower than us there, only 12th. But as you can see as well, it is starting to rain, so we'll have to see then how much rain is actually going to play a part in this session, because it was forecast for a bit at the end of qualifying, but it's already starting to come down a bit then at the end of Q1 and into Q2 then, and it's starting to come down a bit more, but the dry tyres are still the optimum, or the ideal, I guess, tyre for these conditions, and it's still too dry for Inters to be any good in these conditions, so we're just going to have to try and keep out of the barriers then and just see what we can do as we come to line then, and we are quite a bit slower than we were before then at 27.5, and what is worse is that we're still not really finding anything, we're not as high as we want to be, and we're not going to be finding anything now then because the track just is getting wetter, so that's quite a relief then, because me and Leclerc were 9th and 10th there, and that is how that session ends. So it was a bit nervy there, but the rain coming down a bit more actually saved us, as the two Mercedes then are going to be starting this race on the medium tyres. They're the only ones who made it through. Both Renaults dropping out then in that session, and so did Lance Stroll there in the Racing Point, which is a bit of a surprise. So yeah, it's looking quite interesting, and not looking like any of the teams that are supposedly in the battle for second fastest here are doing that great at the moment. As on to Q3, it's still dry enough for dry tyres then. So this rain just did not soak the track for some reason. A bit, I don't know what's going on with the track surface here then. I mean, they've resurfaced this one enough times in the last few years, but I guess now it's just not letting any water settle, I guess. But on to Q3 then, and our first lap time, and we've blown it there then, lighting at the rear tyres, and for the second qualifying in a row we are pointing backwards, but thankfully this time we are not going to get T-boned, so we get away with that one then. But we may as well have bought this lap, because I mean, even if it goes over to inters now, then we're not going to set a quick enough time on the dries, having had that spin. Interestingly, at the end of qualifying, it was still saying that the softs were just about quicker, but it was telling us that the tyres weren't suitable, so I wasn't sure if this was the right decision or not, but I just went with what it said and went on to inters, thinking that maybe more rain was going to come down after I left the garage there. As we are finally now going to get on to our one and only lap then in Q3, and we were a little bit shy there of Lando Norris, who's 6th, but then this little complex here, we made a complete mess of it really there, just all out of shape there, missing the apexes, lining up the rear tyres, and unfortunately this lap was just not very good at all. Then you can see DRS was enabled still, so I kind of wish if I had this over again, then I would definitely be staying with the dry tyres, I think, because I think it's probably still just about good enough to use them. And as you can see, there was a bit of a mix then. Perez and Bottas both set their best lap on dry tyres, but everyone else went with the inters. But for us, it's another disappointing qualifying there, only 10th on the grid. Lewis Hamilton took pole at his home race, with Bottas in 2nd and Verstappen in 3rd. Of course, it's my home race as well, and I barely even mentioned that, but yeah, we've not done too well so far then, and that's not the way we want to start our rivalry against Alexander Albon either then, because he has got the first one over us there then in qualifying. So we'll have to try and make amends then in the race. But yeah, this weekend so far just hasn't really gone to plan so far for us then, as we're starting to build up some wear on our engine, and yeah, qualifying didn't really go to plan there. Leclerc finally pulled out of the bag in Q3 at least, but for us though, we'll have to see then what we can recover then, as we shall now head then into the race.
Welcome along then to Great Britain and the Great Silverstone Circuit for today's Grand Prix. With good opportunities to overtake at the end of the Wellington and Hangar Straights, there's a lot of potential for close action around the 3.6 miles of the Silverstone circuit. With 18 corners and average lap speeds of around 145 miles per hour, it's also one of the longest and quickest circuits on the calendar. And with me as usual is Anthony Davidson. Let's begin by discussing Romain Grosjean. Looks like they've got a tough race in store today, as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Leclerc, Alexander Albon, and Norris, Sainz, Perez, Gasly, and the scientist, Ricciardo, Stroll, Daniel Kvyat, and Ocon, Raikkonen, Magnussen, Antonio Giovinazzi, and George Russell. Latifi and Romain Grosjean sits at the back of the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Here's the strategy that the team have set out for us then. Obviously we went through Q2 on the soft tyres, so that is what we'll be starting on then. That set that we used, that we were sliding about on in the wet conditions, well, sort of damp conditions I guess. And then tyre wear doesn't seem to be too bad here, or at least these tyres are hard enough that they will last quite long, so we'll just be doing the one stop then over to the medium tyres, and we'll see then what we can recover today then, as it's our car then this time that's quite eager to get things going then at the end of this warm-up lap. And yeah, nice advert here for AlphaTauri as we head back to the grid, but obviously we don't want to be seeing that AlphaTauri in front of us for too long in the race, because I think we certainly do have the potential to have a lot more pace than Pierre Gasly there, as we're on the grid now and the lights are coming on. Away we go, and it's an okay start there, but it's Sergio Perez in front of us who's had a really great start there, then passing both McLarens into turn 1. We had to back out of it a little bit there to avoid running into the back of Norris as we head round out to turn 3. We're having a look at the McLarens again there, but just the gap didn't quite open for us. We'll have to watch out for Gasly as well, because he's fighting back now then as we are running outside then through this little complex, and we managed to just about get ahead then, and we're now looking at Sainz as well as he also tries to attack his teammate there down in towards Brooklands, but it all stays as it is then. But we've managed to gain a place overall, so yep, a decent start then. We obviously want to try and build on this as quickly as we can and get ourselves up the field, as we see then Team McLaren's already starting to pull away a little bit then, and we just don't really seem to have great straight line speed there. We see then a replay of the start, and it was Perez then who really was the big winner there then, getting a couple of places. As through turn 1 it actually looked like the two Mercedes had a little bit of contact there, so we're getting very close at the front, as yeah, we managed to get ourselves ahead of Gasly there throughout the first bit. But yeah, just enjoy that start then on board from Sergio Perez there, then just hooked it up, saw the gap between the two McLarens and went straight through it and up into 6th position. And we see now then up at the front, Bottas, second on the grid, been beaten by Hamilton many times this season, but this time he's not having any of it then. He keeps his foot in it through turn 1. It didn't even look like he was really close enough to pass there, but I guess Hamilton actually got a bit spooked and they did make contact there then, as Bottas did not want to back out of that one. And only a lap or two into the race then we see Kevin Magnussen with an engine blowout there then, so that is his race over. On to lap 3 now then, where we're still struggling really to keep on the back of these two McLarens then, and as you can see we just do not seem to have straight line speed here for either car, because we see Leclerc being swamped there by the two Red Bulls passed on both sides. So is this the start then of some struggles now then? Obviously we haven't upgraded this engine. Is it starting to show a bit now then? This engine was starting to put on a bit of wear then, so that could play a part as well. But yeah, it's starting to look like we may be seeing the start here of some struggles here then with the engine. Obviously we put a lot of upgrades on for the aero and chassis, so I was thinking that would probably help us here, but it hasn't been the case so far, I guess just because of how high speed a lot of this track is. But nonetheless then, running outside Carlos Sainz into Brooklands, we finally had a good run there then, and we've got the inside line now then for left field, and we're through and up into 8th place. So we're finally starting to make some moves then, as it's all still staying quite close together up in front of us then, with Leclerc then managed to fight back at the Red Bulls, and we see then this move once again then running outside. I do find that with some of these fast sort of sweeping corners it is better to just run it running outside. You can pass quite well there. Stowe's another example of that. On to lap 8 then, where we're going to now try and pick off the other McLaren if we can, but we run wide there in the last bit of Beckett's, and already we've had 3 warnings in this race. That is a penalty, and yeah, that is not like us. But yeah, I was being a bit too greedy I think in these first few laps, going over some of the curbs, and that is really going to cost us then if this group does not split up a bit and we do not make it through it too quickly, because yeah, we could potentially lose quite a lot of places then with the 3-second penalty with how close it is at the moment. So we've really got to try and go on a charge now then, try and clear these cars as quickly as we can. As we see now then, Leclerc really struggling. Our engineer did tell me that there was an issue with him, and well, we really saw it there then, as here we go then, here comes the overtake on Norris for this episode, and well, we passed Leclerc, we passed Norris, then we're up into 6th place. Leclerc then with some kind of car issue, but is still managing to block Norris quite nicely for us there then, as we're now on the back of Perez, and this is exactly what we need then. We just need to start clearing these cars now then, as the team are calling us in for our pit stop at the end of this lap. But really we just need to try and get past Perez now if we can, and just sort of drive off if we can into that bit of clear air in front of us, and yeah, just try and build out a 3-second gap, because well, if we sort of stay in this group we could potentially lose about 4 or 5 positions here, as Perez was out of shape earlier in the lap there, and we just capitalise on that, use the DRS, and once again running outside into Brooklands we are up to 5th position, and hopefully we can try and now push. I think the Red Bulls are probably going to be just too far out of reach in this race, but if we can just keep it going then and get ourselves a nice gap in front of the rest of that group behind, then maybe we can not lose too much with that penalty, as we saw the replay of Leclerc being swamped and me making up 2 positions there. Into the pits then we come at the end of lap 10. Perez still right on the back of us, and we'll have to hope for a good pit stop here then. I was a bit concerned here with it being one of the first garages that we're driving into here, because there's obviously going to be quite a few cars driving past us towards their garages here as we come in, and thankfully we had a good stop there, so looks like we're going to maintain position then over Sainz and Perez, who also both came in on that lap. Doesn't look like many other people came in here, so it's looking like we're going to be dropping right near the back of the field then, what with how slow this pit lane is. And out of the pits we're going to come then in 16th position. So yeah, we are now the bottom 4 in this race then, the 4 of us who just came in there then, because yeah, everyone who's still running this race has overtaken us there, but obviously everyone is going to be coming in over the next lap or 2, except for the 2 Mercedes, I believe, who I believe they're the only ones who start on the medium tyres then, having qualified on them in Q2. As we're now going to start seeing a lot of cars coming in now then on the next lap, including our teammate Charles Leclerc, and Norris is also in then, and we managed to stay ahead of him as well then, so that's good. And there's a little bit of a battle going on there, it looks like, as well, between him and Perez, which is exactly what we need really. We need these block behind us to start battling, so that we can just pull away and build out that 3-second gap, because I think that's just our best chance at the moment, because I don't think we really have the raw pace to actually build out that gap without the rest of them all battling. It looks like that has actually started to happen a bit then. I believe Norris actually got himself ahead of Perez, and then this really started to help us here then, because Sainz and Perez started having a very close duel here then through the final laps of through the final corners, I should say, of the previous lap, and then the first few corners of the next lap, and that really slowed them both up. And as you can see, they've dropped to nearly 3 seconds behind us now, so if they can keep on doing that, then well, we're only going to lose 1 place, which still isn't ideal, but you know, it's not too bad. It could have been a lot worse. But this I didn't expect. Then Norris having a great run there down the old pit straight, and just goes for it into Cops corner and moves himself up to 5th place. This is what I really don't need. I don't need to be battling at all. I need all them to be battling and losing themselves time. But if I start getting into battles there, as you saw through Beckett's, we were just really getting hurt there by the dirty air. If I start battling now, then I'm just going to lose time and I'm not going to be able to build out this 3-second gap I need. We come back at Norris then, because I just don't think he's going to have the pace to be able to pull us away. So yeah, I just had to try and get back ahead if I could and try and shake him off if it was at all possible. But yeah, you can see then Sainz has closed back in, and just this battling is really going to be our downfall in this race. As here comes Norris once again, then the 2 Brits battling here at Silverstone, and we've managed to come out on top then once again for the time being, but he just will not relent then, and it's going to be very, very hard for us, I think, at this stage to maintain 5th or even 6th position in this race. But something that is going to help us though is this 3 wide battle into turn 1, which results in Pierre Gasly spinning out there, and Sainz and Perez once again then resume their battle and start to lose time again. Gasly not having the best season so far. He's trailing his teammate Kvyat in the championship, maybe a bit desperate there to score some points, but that was just never going to work there. That was a very unwise move there for Gasly to make, because we see Norris there trying to pass from the outside into Cops corner, and well, that was so close there to contact, but somehow we managed to get away with it then, and he's going to have a good run now then down the DRS straight towards Stowe here. We're going to defend the inside line if we can, and well, we just about moved across there before he was alongside, so I think that was fair enough there from us. But yeah, Norris there was really going for it around the outside of Cops corner, and yeah, so close to contact there, and I was pretty surprised at how he managed to hang it around the outside there. Obviously the AI in previous games has sort of like lost time by doing that. We're still ahead then for the time being, but just Norris just will not let us go in this race. Through turn 2, we're on the curb. That was a very, very stupid error there, and well, we're definitely not getting 5th or 6th now. We're not going to get anything from this race. That is, yeah, race ruin then. Leclerc with those car problems as well, so yeah, no points then. It's looking like for the team today. We have absolutely blown it there then, and yeah, well, we'll rewind for a second then to see that pass from Norris well, attempt at a pass from Norris there, side by side, some great action there then. He just had a bit of a better run than this out of left field, and once again then going on the attack, where I was sort of conserving my ERS and fuel there, and yeah, just so close to contact. I was surprised that he didn't run it out wide there, but yeah, it was some nice driving from him. And then this was just really careless there, just pushing too hard, too much curb on the grass as well, lost the back end. That was, yeah, very silly from us there. That was the first big mistake that we've made so far in this career mode, and it has cost us big time here. Then we've lost not only our points then for us as a driver, but the team's only chance of scoring points today then as well, because obviously Leclerc had some very bad car issue there that was had dropped him down to about 12th position there. So yeah, the team were really relying on us there to bring him some points, and yeah, we absolutely blew it there then. Because, well, we were already going to lose some points then because of that penalty, but now it's looking like we're going to be dead last then by the looks of things, because Latifi's gone through, Russell's gone through, the front wing goes on then. We're going to be on soft tyres for the last few laps, but yeah, there's no way that we're going to be able to catch that back up now. And yeah, only 3 laps to go though as well, so yeah, there's going to be no chance. In fact, it's going to be even worse, because here come the two Mercedes to lap us, so yep, that's really going to top off then a miserable home race for us there then. As out of the pits we come then, the two Mercedes have just gone through, and well, at least we only have, well, we're going to have 1 lap less then to suffer then before we're part of our misery, I guess. So yeah, it's turned into a very disappointing weekend then. I could sort of tell just from when I was starting to see like the engine wear build up, and then our pace wasn't quite there in qualifying. I could sort of tell that this was going to be a difficult weekend. I could just sort of see it coming. I mean, I was pushing too hard at the start as well then, and picked up a penalty, which I don't normally do. So yeah, I could just sort of see this coming, and yeah, it's turned into a disappointing weekend and 19th at the British Grand Prix.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Well, they've done a brilliant job, I must say, under some intense pressure to take a well-earned victory here at the British Grand Prix. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions, and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today, and the results speak for themselves.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
What a time for Valtteri Bottas to finally turn up this season, having been beaten by Hamilton so many times. He's finally turned up at Hamilton's home race, put a move on him on turn 1 on lap 1, and just driven off and taken the win to spoil his teammates' day then, I guess, really. So Bottas then finally gets one back over his teammate. It's the Red Bull 3 and 4 there, McLaren 5 and 6 as well, so an impressive result from them there then. Both raced in points, and both Renaults also make it into the points then, at the expense sadly of me and Leclerc then. So for the first time this season then, I don't score points, and also Ferrari don't score points there then. So doubly disappointing there then for the team today. As we see then, Magnussen, we saw him very early on in the race then have an engine failure, so he was the only retirement today. Hamilton still leads the way then, but the gap's come down now then to 31 points. So he's still looking pretty good if he can regain his previous form. But Bottas put out a strong message there then today, and he's not going down without a fight then, and they're really the only two who can really challenge for this championship then, because Verstappen is 79 off, but still close between him and Albon. Me and Leclerc have lost ground to both of them today then, unfortunately, and looking further down, Perez then has overtaken Ocon, and Norris has overtaken Ricciardo. Mercedes then extend the lead over Red Bull, who also extend the lead over us today then, which is a shame because we were starting to close in on Red Bull there after a strong weekend in Austria. And the other thing to change is Racing Point have overtaken Renault.
Good day today. Let's have your take on it. Do you have any comments about this team? You left some bodywork out there on the track. Were you struggling for grip? Thank you for your time.
A good day today according to Claire there. Well, yeah, we finished last. We've dropped 4 points already to Albon then in this rivalry. Yeah, it was a fantastic day then for us. Still managed to gain a bit of acclaim there because I think I gave the right answer, I guess, in the interview. So I think that's one thing that went right there, thankfully. But yeah, it's only a day to forget there then. And we shall try and hope for better then after what will be a 6-week summer break now then with the shortened calendar before the Belgian Grand Prix. So some time to get some upgrades on the car then, and hopefully we can put this weekend behind us then. As that's it then for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. I shall see you next time for the Belgian Grand Prix.